I was a National Geographic magazine photographer for 17 years. And then my wife got breast cancer about 15 years ago, and I came home and was grounded for a year.
During that year at home, Joel took care of his wife and their 3 kids. It was a difficult time for the whole family. But being home from work afforded Joel something he hadn't experienced in a while. Time to think. He'd been moving toward conservation stories, specifically endangered species. He dug in deeper to this during his time at home. Over the weeks and months, he noticed a glaring issue. There was no real way to see some of the smaller creatures that were in real danger of going extinct.
They live in muddy water or in soil or high up in the trees. They're not charismatic megafauna like tigers or gorillas. They're minnows and sparrows and toads, salamanders. And so I figured that a document that could share their voice and give them a voice would be really important.
He had an idea. He was going to photograph every species living in zoos, aquariums, and wildlife sanctuaries. That's an estimated 15,000 species worldwide, each photographed one at a time.
My name's Joel Sartore. I work with National Geographic Society to document species around the world for a project we call the Photo Ark.
I'm Doug Frazier, and this is What We Do, where we'll meet the people behind the most intriguing passions, hobbies, and jobs around the world.
How are you able to capture their story in that single moment in a photo? Do you go into it doing the research behind the animal to kind of help find the right pose or the right moment, or is that something that you discover while you're photographing?
It's the latter. We really do take what the animal gives us. Some of these shoots are very short, 30 seconds to a minute or two for rare birds, for example. Some of the shoots last longer. If we've got a primate and he's eating bananas and having fun, we may work that a little longer. But it's all in the eye contact, which means that species like jellyfish and coral that don't have eyes, that's tough. That's a lot tougher to get the public to care. But we're primates ourselves, and so if we can look an animal in the eye, we really engage with it. They're clever and ingenious, and many of them are, kind of operate like we do. Some can be deceitful, malicious, aggressive, angry, joyful, sad, you name it.
Sometimes Joel finds himself with a rebellious subject. The most difficult animal he's ever photographed isn't a timid mouse or an agitated hippo. The most downright ornery subject is an adult chimpanzee.
The first time I tried with chimps, I used a paper background, basically stuck down with duct tape to an off-exhibit space at a zoo in Manhattan, Kansas.
Joel tapes down a long white sheet of paper in a chimp enclosure. A zoo employee offers a hand and a confirmation of a rumor.
They're pretty strong. I hear they could rip your arm off and beat you to death with it, right?
Exactly. If you don't bleed to death first, it'll beat you to death, right?
So now, doesn't this look nice? Perfect. It's perfect for chimps. How long will that last? 60 seconds? They're fast, smart, aggressive, strong, sneaky. I have tried several times to get good portraits of adult chimps. I have a good portrait of a baby, but nothing really any good of an adult chimp, because I'm not working with where you pay trainers or anything to pose animals. I'm just going to zoos, basically, and wildlife reserves, and they tore the background down in, 5 seconds. They didn't even have to enter the room. They just stuck an arm in and ripped it down. Yeah. It's funny now. It wasn't very funny back then, but yeah, they're really tough. So I don't know if I'll ever get there. It makes a good story. Maybe I should never break that,
Joel spent 15 years in the Photo Ark so far, but it's been a lifetime in the making. Back in the late 60s, Joel was with his family at the Riverside Park in Wichita, Kansas, that had, among other animals, alligators. Joel snapped his first photograph, which he still has today. It's black and white and a bit blurry.
Wasn't a very good picture. You could tell they were alligators, but that's about all you can say about it.
It's not the mark of a photography prodigy. It was just a kid pointing a camera at something that caught his eye. Or was it? The years pass and Joel gets an internship at the Wichita Eagle, the town's daily newspaper. After 6 years, he met James Stanfield, a legendary National Geographic photographer. James recommended that Joel send his work in to Nat Geo. The rest, as they say, is history. He's since covered stories the world over, including one that changed his perspective on human nature. It's April 10th, 2010, 7:45 p.m. 41 miles off the southeast coast of Louisiana, the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig begins to shake. It explodes, covering the platform in flames. The fire would go on to burn for 2 days, until the platform sunk into the sea.
You have information now that this rig has gone under?
It has gone under the surface at about 10:21 this morning. Coast Guard got word that the vessel has gone under.
What's the implication now of that having gone under? We've seen it burn, which means some petroleum was burning, natural gas or oil. At this point, is that oil in danger now of escaping into the sea?
It was already doing just that. The oil pumped into the water for 87 days. Estimates suggest 4.9 million barrels of oil leaked into the Gulf of Mexico. It was considered to be the largest marine oil spill in the history of the petroleum industry, and one of the largest environmental disasters in the history of the U.S. People lost their lives, and countless animals suffered. But people are stubborn. As Joel says in the TED Talk, catastrophic disasters like Deepwater Horizon tend to have little impact on shifting our habits.
You know, I was hoping when I got assigned to cover the oil spill that we would finally wise up and pay attention to the environment. I was really hoping. And we saw that pipe spewing that junk on the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico live on CNN for weeks. Remember that pipe camera? Did it change the way we operate a bit? It didn't change us a bit. Why? Because the price of the pump didn't go up, and we don't really care that much. To be honest with you, we want our way of life to remain the same. That was the bitter lesson for me on the oil spill story.
We may not realize it, but our money is a key factor in extinction. From the coffee we choose to drink to what company we buy furniture from, every dollar is a vote. It's a green light we give to continue unsustainable deforestation and other activities that evict animals from their homes. And every vote can mean the difference between life and extinction.
We have to save big tracts of habitat, big areas of oceans that are not drained of fish, intact prairies, grasslands, intact montane regions, tundra, you name it. We need big tracts of unspoiled wilderness to balance out the life support systems on our planet. We do try to teach people, but it does feel like sometimes it's falling on deaf ears. So we just turn up the volume a little bit more.
It sounds like one idea that you're sort of touching on here is that we've lost touch not only with nature, but its importance in our lives.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people that make their living outside, they understand the pattern of the seasons and the importance to have good soil and adequate rainfall in the right amounts in the right places where we have the soil and the machinery and the know-how to grow crops to feed the world. I mean, farmers, ranchers, they understand that. They're out in it all the time. I worry about kids not getting exposed to nature much and worry that this generation of older folks now, maybe we're the last people that wandered the woods when we were kids, that got muddy, played in ponds, swam in lakes and rivers. It means something to us, and we're still not doing all we can to save nature. But how do we convince the world that extinction's irreversible, epic in ways we don't understand, and will have dramatic negative consequences for all of us if we let extinction run wild? This is the question of our age, and it really determines our future going forward.
That future might lie in the sticky hands of a tree frog. Joel is constantly face to face with animals who have only thousands or even hundreds of their species left on Earth. On one occasion, he was in the presence of the very last animal of its kind, a Rab's fringe-limbed tree frog named Tuffy.
It's such a powerful thing to be there in the presence of something that you know is the last one. And that frog literally hopped off the background and landed on top of my camera, and there he is hopping around. And I mean, just very mellow about it. He just made one hop and landed on my lens, and I had gloves on and I put him back on the background. But I photographed him a couple times. He's just brown, kind of shiny, size of a baseball, I guess, maybe a little smaller. The key to saving the world lies in the fate of a tree frog like that. Because if you can get the public to actually care about that and turn their heads away from celebrity and politics for a minute, we could do it.
These animals become real and their stories more meaningful when we see them in photographs. It's the first step toward making changes to help prevent their extinction.
The goal is not just to create the world's largest obituary. As these animals go away, so could we. So it's important for people to understand that they can make a difference, but it really will take a little bit of knowledge and effort on our part, and the first step is awareness.
Just look at the Madagascar dwarf chameleon. From head to tail, it's only slightly longer than a thumbnail. Or the Matschie's tree kangaroo. It looks like it's smiling at you from behind a face that resembles a koala mixed with a kangaroo. The Balabac mouse deer, which at 7 inches tall is the world's smallest hoofed animal. The pygmy hippo, the leadbeater's possum, the peacock parachute spider, the Lord Howe's Island stick insect, the Andean flamingo. From snails the size of jelly beans to the Sumatran elephant, Joel has amassed a huge pictorial collection for the Photo Ark. This year at the Fauna Adina Wildlife Reserve in Chile, Joel snapped a photo of a guinia, the smallest wildcat in the Americas. It was his 10,000th picture in the Photo Ark collection.
So we have another 5,000 to go, and we think that'll take another 10 to 15 years because we have to go a lot farther to get fewer now. Whenever I come around an animal that is down to just nothing, I just think about the work it took, the sheer luck, the work, the power of evolution and the millennia to get it here. And now we're just tossing it aside like it doesn't matter, like the Yangtze giant soft-shelled turtle or the South China tiger.
There's a lot going wrong, it seems. So much so that you may wonder, what's the point of even trying? The answer? There's still a chance to change our course.
What I tell people so that they don't get all down is that most of the species that we evolved with are still here. We just have to pay attention to them if we want them to stick around, and it's in our interest to do so. So I just think, people have got to come around. They've got to get excited about this. How could they not? This stuff's amazing.
To view the entire Photo Ark so far and to learn how you can support the project, visit joelsartore.com. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Would you mind leaving a rating and review for the show? It only takes a moment and it's a huge help. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes. Until next time, stay curious. What We Do is produced by me, Doug Frazier, for WHRO Public Media.